Welcome to the Mystery Vault. What if every movie you've ever watched wasn't entertainment, but instruction? For over a century, Hollywood has shaped our dreams, our fears, and even our understanding of reality. But what if the stories on the screen aren't fiction? They're messages. From alien invasions to global pandemics, from artificial intelligence to apocalyptic resets, the most shocking events of our time were first shown in movies years before they became real. Coincidence or programming? The theory is called predictive programming, and it suggests that the elite, through film, media, and entertainment, have been preparing humanity for the truth about our world and about what's coming next. In 1999, The Matrix told us the world we live in is a digital illusion. 2 decades later, leading scientists and billionaires openly discuss the simulation hypothesis, the exact idea the movie warned us about. In 2011, Contagion showed a global outbreak beginning in Asia, spreading through air travel, collapsing economies, and forcing worldwide lockdowns. 9 years later, it happened, almost identically. And in 2016, Arrival depicted governments receiving an alien message that would rewrite the laws of language and time. A few years later, the Pentagon publicly admitted that non-human craft had been recovered and that the U.S. military was actively studying off-world materials. It's almost as if someone, somewhere, was showing us the future before it arrived. Some call it coincidence. Others call it conditioning. A slow, deliberate exposure to the unbelievable until we're ready to accept it without question. And the more you look, the more impossible it becomes to ignore. The Simpsons predicting political events, disasters, and inventions years in advance. Deep Impact and Armageddon normalizing asteroid threats. iRobot preparing us for an AI uprising. Don't Look Up teaching us how to laugh while the world burns. Each of these stories plants a seed, a thought pattern, a template for how to react when the real event happens. Because fiction is the safest place to hide the truth. Inside the Hollywood system, powerful figures often tied to defense agencies and intelligence networks have the final say on what stories get told, what images reach the public, and what messages stay buried. CIA and Pentagon liaison offices quietly review thousands of scripts each year, approving or denying based on national security interests. And yet somehow, the same ideas keep resurfacing. Extraterrestrials, government cover-ups, mind control, artificial intelligence. It's as if humanity is being psychologically softened for revelation. The day the truth arrives, it won't be a shock, it'll be a sequel. Every great illusion needs a master behind the curtain, and in Hollywood, that curtain leads straight to Washington, D.C. Few people know this, but the U.S. Department of Defense and the CIA have had official offices inside Hollywood studios since the 1950s. Their task? To assist with film accuracy, but only if the script portrays their agencies favorably. If not, the film never sees the light of day. Declassified documents confirm it. Over 2,500 movies and TV shows were directly altered under government supervision. Blockbusters like Top Gun, Transformers, and Zero Dark 30 were rewritten to glorify military technology and normalize the idea of constant global surveillance. Others, like The Day After Tomorrow or Independence Day, were allowed because they emotionally trained audiences to accept world-unifying catastrophes. But there's another layer, the psychological one. Behavioral scientists call it predictive adaptation. Show the public an extreme scenario, alien invasion, AI takeover, or population control, and the mind slowly begins to normalize it. So when those things happen in real life, the brain says, "I've seen this before." It's not fear anymore, it's acceptance. That's why, when the Pentagon released UFO footage in 2020, humanity barely flinched. Because Hollywood had already shown us everything. The crafts, the lights, the silence before the storm. We were already programmed. But the influence doesn't stop at American borders. In the 1980s, NASA collaborated on ET, but to reshape perception. Project Blue Book and later Project Seraphim used these films as tools for cultural desensitization. The more we saw aliens on screen, the less shocking real disclosure would be. Even the Vatican quietly embraced this agenda. Pope Francis publicly stated, "If extraterrestrials were to arrive, we would welcome them as God's creation." That line wasn't spiritual, it was strategic. Behind every message of unity, every image of glowing ships and benevolent visitors, lies a deeper narrative that salvation will come from above, not within. It's the same pattern, repeated across decades. 1951, the day the Earth stood still. Aliens demand world peace or destruction. 1996, Independence Day. Humanity unites under a single global government. 2014, Interstellar, Earth is dying. Survival depends on leaving it behind. Every generation receives a new prophecy, wrapped in cinema. And through repetition, fear becomes fascination, and fascination becomes belief. Hollywood has always called itself a dream factory, but in reality, it's a conditioning machine, teaching us how to react when the next great revelation hits. Because when it does, millions won't resist. They'll recognize the story. They don't show us fiction to entertain us. They show it so we'll never question the truth when it arrives. Some say movies are just stories, but stories shape the soul of civilizations. Every frame carries intention, every symbol hides meaning, and in Hollywood, symbolism is a language of power. For decades, the same images repeat again and again: the all-seeing eye, the fallen star, the phoenix rising from the ashes, the ascending light through darkness. They appear in superhero movies, in music videos, in streaming series, even in children's films. Always there, always watching. This is subconscious ritual, a system of emotional conditioning designed to teach us what to fear and what to worship. In The Truman Show, we learn to accept surveillance as entertainment. In The Hunger Games, obedience became heroism. In The Matrix, liberation meant plugging into another illusion. And in every savior movie, from Superman to Avengers, one message echoes: only a chosen few can save humanity. The rest must watch and wait. That's not storytelling, that's preparation. Behind the glittering red carpets and billion-dollar franchises lies a priesthood of image makers, men and women who understand that belief can be engineered. They don't just sell movies, they sell realities. Think about it. When you cry in a theater, your body reacts to something that doesn't exist. Your heart believes before your mind does. That's the gateway, emotion. And once emotion is captured, logic is irrelevant. This is how predictive programming truly works. Not by showing you the future, but by teaching you how to feel when it arrives. When artificial intelligence becomes self-aware, you'll call it progress, not danger, because Hollywood told you to admire the machine. When skies darken and governments unite under a single global order, you'll feel relief because movies taught you that unity equals salvation. And when the first visitors finally descend, the world will welcome them, not with fear, but with faith, because we've already seen this story countless times. Even the word Hollywood has ancient roots. The Druids, in ancient Europe, used wands made of Hollywood, sacred tools for casting spells, for illusion, for influencing the mind. And now, centuries later, the most powerful illusion factory on Earth bears the same name. Coincidence or continuation? The wand has become the camera, the spell has become the screen, and the theater has become the temple. Each time the lights dim and the audience falls silent, a ritual begins, a merging of emotion, symbol, and energy. It's not fiction. It's initiation. They no longer need to hide the truth. They just need to disguise it as entertainment. The question is not whether Hollywood is preparing us. The real question is, for what? We've spent our lives in the theater of illusion, watching stories that mirror our fears, our hopes, and our destiny. But somewhere along the way, we forgot who the real audience was and who was holding the script. Hollywood doesn't just predict the future. It manufactures consent for it. It feeds the world visions of invasion, chaos, and salvation, until those ideas no longer feel foreign, until humanity becomes comfortable with control. Because when the truth finally arrives, when the skies open, when the saviors land, when the new system of order is revealed, no one will question it. We'll call it destiny, we'll call it evolution, we'll call it peace, but it won't be peace. It will be the end of free thought and the beginning of programmed faith. You see, the real magic of cinema was never about entertainment. It was about permission to let the unreal shape the real, to blur the line between fiction and prophecy. And while millions look up at glowing screens, hypnotized by sound and spectacle, a quiet voice inside whispers, "This isn't imagination, this is instruction." They don't hide messages in plain sight, they make you live them. The alien landing, the digital god, the global reset. Every frame, every narrative, every emotional chord was part of a greater design, a rehearsal for the moment when fiction becomes law. But even within the illusion, truth leaves fingerprints. And if you look closely, beyond the lights, beyond the noise, beyond the scripted smiles, you'll see it. The silent blueprint of our awakening. Maybe, just maybe, the final movie isn't playing on a screen. Maybe we're living inside it. The greatest lie ever told is that Hollywood sells fantasies. In truth, it sells the future. If you've ever felt that movies know too much, you're right. The truth was never hidden, it was filmed. Subscribe to the Mystery Vault and uncover what they never meant for you to see.